Good evening, friends. Topic for today's discussion is how can India become the preferred tourism destination of the world? With a large geographical area, which is bounded by magnificent Himalayan ranges in the north and surrounded on three sides by water, India offers a wide array of places to see and things to do. Historical monuments, forts, beaches, places of religious importance, hills, perennial rivers, water, vast rolling plains, landscapes, vast lakes, they all make India a tourist delight. Geographically vast country with a rich historical background and cultural heritage, India can be a real place which the tourists in the world should be looking forward to visit. Each of the 29 states, it has such a vast and varied culture that each of the 29 states has different climate patterns and holds distinct cultures of significance. Hence, there is something or the other in each state which attracts the tourists from the world.
Sir, एक second, sir. Can I intervene?
हाँ जी.
Sir, मैं कह रहा थी, it is a very well written. I think everybody must have read it.
Okay.
I read it thoroughly.
So I go to the last part.
So, नहीं मैं एक चीज कहना चाह रहा था सर. पिछली बार भी I raised it with Sardar Kuldeep Singh ji that once you have submitted this well written article, it is always presumed that the participants have read it thoroughly. They have actually understood all the points raised, and during such sessions, they should, basis that article that they have gone through, they should raise further questions which the lead participant would be expected to kind of revert in the sense that although it would be somewhere near what all you have written, maybe there is something, some elaboration that somebody might ask for, or maybe raise something which, yeah. So I think that would save time and would also actually acknowledge the fact.
I believe you have all gone through the topic which I submitted.
Yes, very much.
And I would like to invite any questions or other clarifications you want me to dwell on.
So if I could start, because let it be with me only, although it covers everything so well, and then it has been written in the backdrop that COVID has actually played spoil sport with tourism in a big way, but then again these clouds are also getting cleared with every passing day, and I think in the next 3-4 months, or maybe say in the next 6 months, things would become normal, and we can then visualize India attracting tourists again. Now, one or two things that come to my mind, although you have covered everything. One is when we talk about India becoming a preferred destination, when we look at the rest of the leading tourist, places of tourist preference in the world, there is some common thread there, which is, for example, if France or Spain attracts many tourists, what I've gathered is because Europe is a very is a society which is very close-knit society, lots of countries in the neighborhood, and oftentimes it becomes a kind of 2 to 3 days getaway for people. For example, somebody in the UK might find it convenient to take a Ryan Airlines flight from London to say Paris for 3 nights or 2 nights and come back. So all these countries, they are resourceful, they have high GDP, and therefore together they become destinations for each other. Similarly, the other important destination is China, which is surrounded by, say, Japan, South Korea. Similarly, you have Thailand, which is surrounded by, say, Malaysia, Singapore, or maybe Indonesia and rest of the countries. Seen in that context, when we look at India, in India's neighborhood, incidentally, we don't have countries which would send a lot of tourists to us. In that backdrop, what comes to my mind is that out of, say, the total tourism happening in India, close to 85 to 90% is the domestic people visiting within India, or visiting various places within India, which is again comparable to, say, a person from UK going to Spain, because looking at the size of India as a country, somebody staying in Kerala would find places like Jammu and Kashmir, or maybe Himachal, or even for that matter Rajasthan, very enticing, attractive, and maybe equally encouraging. So what is happening, what in your view, this is my first question, what, keeping in mind that people coming from outside, they are always very welcome, because when they come, they bring forex, they come as ambassadors of their countries. When they go back, they spread good word about India. And when the foreigners come, since they come from much better off countries, they certainly spend a lot in India, and that helps. But believing that that only takes care of about 10 to 12% of, or 15% of the total crowd that is visiting various places, what comes to your mind to make it more visible, attractive for the rest of the 85% mass, which is the Indian people visiting within India? Because there lots of problems are already taken care of. They are citizens of the same country, and very little improvements can probably improve the environment. So what comes to your mind, sir, to improve this? Yeah.
Okay, I got your point. Firstly, I want to clarify that my topic is mostly about the international tourists coming to India. And the data which I have given also, India is at 22nd spot of international tourist arrivals in India. I somehow did not emphasize on the Indians visiting within India. But I want to say, since you have brought this point, that within India, the number of tourists traveling from one part to another part of India is many times the number of international inbound tourists coming into India. And second thing is that economy or the foreign exchange is only rather brought by the international tourists. Because within India, I am spending in rupees. And if I come from USA or Japan or say Europe, then I am bringing euros, US dollar, and these currencies with me. And now coming to the next thing. Of the 17, I have also covered this data up to 2019, because 2020 was a different type of year where there was hardly any tourism across the world. Visas to India which had been granted were also suspended from March onwards, and hardly any tourists came in the last, say, about 9 months of that year. Now, one more thing which I have not covered, I want to tell you, of the 10.93 million foreign tourists which came to India in 2019, about 20% of them were from Bangladesh.
Yes.
Okay. And I have covered the medical tourism. About 6.9 or about 7% were who had visited India for getting medical treatment. So the people who will be big time spenders or who will bring foreign money are just about 70% of, say, just about, you can say, 7 million. Of the 17.9, 10.93 million were foreigners and NRIs accounted for 6.97 million. NRIs came mainly to visit their families and friends in India. So the the foreigners' arrival to India is abysmal. It is very less, very poor state. Even countries like small countries like Austria, or you can say Malaysia, which is in Asia only. Now, your question within India. Within India, the tourism is mainly to visit the religious places and also to visit places of, say, for a short, you see, break from the stress. And for that, only few places are there which are frequented by the local tourists. They won't visit like place like, let's say, Allahabad or Varanasi, where foreign tourists want to come. But once they come and once they see what is the state of things there, they become the adverse publicity after seeing the things there. They are interested in the culture. They want to see all these temples, all these things. But once they have come here and when they go back, probably they do not present a very good idea about India to others in their country. After Bangladesh, at third spot is we are getting people from USA and Europe. Europe second spot and then USA. Those people are also mainly coming for the business purposes and also from China. So tourists, international tourists who are coming here for leisure or for sightseeing are in fact very few. Partly, I think I have answered your
certainly.
question. If you want to know anything more.
Absolutely fine, sir. Absolutely fine. Sardar Kuldeep Singh ji, you can now raise your question.
Of course,
Reasons I have already.
sir, you have told in your write-up that connectivity is the main number one issue. If I'm
Yes.
remembering correctly, which is
Yes.
very paramount. So, which are the most connected area? Which are the destination which are in top in a foreigner's mind
Okay.
when it comes to India?
I got your question.
Right.
International tourists have few favored places of visiting. Topmost among them is Goa. Goa has direct flights from so many places in Europe directly to Goa. Though Goa airport is not managed by Airport Authority of India, it is managed by the Navy. It doesn't even have a proper lounge, and it is much away from the city. But still, India it gets the maximum international flights for sightseeing for the tourists. Though other purposes, Delhi, Bombay are much bigger, and then also after that is Mumbai, which is a favorite place because it's a business hub and people have to come there. And then there are direct flights coming to Kerala and Bangalore, and also Chennai, which brings tourists directly to those places. Now, connectivity to other places, which are very good tourist destinations, they are in international feeling. You may also have traveled other countries. The destination should not be very far away from the airport, or it should be very well connected. Unfortunately, we do not have so many airports, and even if we have, the flights are not there. traveling by train is very cumbersome, and you know how the train journey in India is. So that puts off people, even for going to Agra. Agra is also another favored place where the tourists who come to North India, they always go to Agra. There is a golden circuit, Agra, Jaipur, Fatehpur Sikri and Delhi. There are so many tourists who do this. They want to see the culture and monuments. Uh, so even for traveling to Agra, it takes 3-4 hours, which is in a developed country, it will take 1 hour
Uh,
or 1.5 hours.
can I
Unfortunately,
can I ask some supplementary question to the same point? If the Goa is number one destination in India, so which are the three main factors which has made Goa the top? 2-3 factors.
2-3 factors is the,
Because it might
I take it for the, what is the tourist coming from abroad? For what purpose is it coming? He wants to come firstly to see the for sightseeing or leisure. He wants to be in a place in Europe or in North America. Winters are very severe. So they want to, India winters are mild, and it's very pleasant here during say December, January, February, when maximum tourists who come for sightseeing or for leisure, they come here. These 3-4 months, the prices of the hotels are double than what they would be in month of June. And hardly any tourists from for this purpose will come to India during June, May, or April, or during monsoon time. So these are the few, and then other things like which attract. I have myself traveled across India, everywhere almost, where people, there are so many places which could be very good tourist destinations, but for some reason they are not. I'll give you example, 2 examples. There is a place known as Khajihar. It's in Himachal. It's about an hour's drive from Dalhousie, or say from Pathankot, which is the nearest airport. It's about 2 hours drive in through the hills, 2 to 3 hours drive in the present state of the road. It's a very beautiful place, Khajihar, but unfortunately, the local tourists who visit from planes to that this thing just to beat the heat or just to have a break from their monotonous life, they have made this place so dirty that I felt ashamed that hardly any tourist. It was you can compare it to Switzerland. I have seen Switzerland also. Khajihar is one place. Second place is which I visited is in Sikkim. It is another remote place where connectivity is not there. Initially, there was a problem due to security. Foreigners were not permitted to travel to Sikkim. Now that has been removed. Now foreigners can go. They can take permit and they can travel. They are traveling also. But these places are very poorly connecting. Going to Yumthang, that place is known as Yumthang. It is another beautiful place. You have to seek to believe it. It takes about 7 hours from the nearest airport to reach there. And hardly any facilities. The nearest hotel would be about 2 hours journey from there. So that is about connectivity. Now the important places where the tourists, as per connectivity or the facilities available, or where some sort of development is there, are, in my view, what I have learned is they are Goa, Kerala, Bangalore, even Tamil Nadu, where they come to see those temples and all. Rajasthan also they come for short during December, January. Some people come from Israel and all. They come almost throughout the year, but mainly in winter to Pushkar. Pushkar is very popular with Israelis, and now even in Rajasthan there are problems. The cities have become very congested, very chaotic, but still I have had the opportunity to travel across Rajasthan, being the thick of the desert, and I have seen also experienced how the law and order situation has deteriorated over the decades. I'll tell you one example. Uh, it was 1990 when I had gone there first time. Road from uh, Jaisalmer to Badmer. It's 150 kilometers. Foreign tourists used to come. They used to go on bicycles from Jaisalmer to Badmer with small travel kit. They would camp on the way, have local cuisines, mingle with the local people, learn their culture, enjoy the desert, and that was a lot of tourists. But when I went there in 2003-4, I found that none of them was there. When I asked them, the locals, what happened, why are they not coming now? They said there had been some incidents of looting, rapes, and things like that, due to which they are now too scared to come. So, so still it remains that safety,
Because the
security,
time will be short, can I
and
come to my next point? Sir, can I ask my next point? Because time is already running short. So that's the reason
okay.
Sir, which are the top 3-4 policies which a government of India should have, including incentive to the private sector to prove things? If you have got some 3-4 or top suggestion to make India clean, or whether to have more investment of the private sector, or whether any program which can bring better improvement, which will be the top 3-4 suggestions which you could give?
Okay. Very interesting and very nice question. The government has a big responsibility.
Let me
Also,
let me welcome Brigadier Saab. I think he's also joined in actually. But of course, time only 7 minutes are left, 7.5 minutes.
okay, first thing is that the safety, 2 points I will emphasize on: safety and security of the tourists, and second thing is cleanliness. Cleanliness of the cities and the tourist spots at least. You can't keep the places, whole of the India spot, because it will take time for people to learn our hygiene and cleanliness standards are abysmally low. But at least the tourist spots and the tourist facilities where the tourists go should be firstly kept clean, and the government must ensure law and order and safety of tourists in those places. Unfortunately, tourists are fleeced by touts, misguided by unregistered guides and other people like that, which the government must find a way to address to. Then is the hygienical food. There has been complaints by tourists who have gone back that food you got at awkward places, at most of the places, was not hygienic, and we fell sick and we had problems. So third thing, another important thing is the pollution level of, like Delhi gets a lot of, as I brought out earlier, Delhi, Agra, Jaipur circuit, it gets a lot of tourists in December, January. But unfortunately, during that time, at least Delhi is very highly polluted. And government must address, it's not only good from the point of view of tourism, but it is also a very important issue for the people who live here. Then also the taxes and other charges which are levied on the services and on the goods which are supplied to the tourists. Also, government must consider to reduce them. Now, at the moment in the luxury hotels, if you see any air-conditioned hotel is called luxury hotel, the GST is 28%. which adds up, it is very high. It is really high. A normal, the lowest, the starting category of the room, if in a 5-star in place like Delhi, it will cost, or even in Gurgaon, it will cost not less than 10,000 rupees per night. And in Goa and in say Udaipur and all, it will be to the tune of about 30,000 or so. With so the budget of government has to do the, firstly find out who are the people wanting to visit to India, from where they can get. They must do a study. They must form a study and find out so many things which I have listed out. How should they go? Some suggestions and measures by government as well as the state government. So they must identify who are the possible visitors. What do they want to see? What is their age group? What are their interests? And then promote it accordingly in those countries. India, I tell you, itself is a big market, big tourism market. There are more Indian visiting other countries than other countries from other people coming to India. Though India is such a big and vast country and it has so much to offer, but unfortunately, the state is very bad. So, apart from these 5 places which I have listed out, even you see, Northeast is so beautiful and it has so much to offer, but unfortunately, hardly any tourist goes there. At best, some Japanese, or they go for religious tourism, for Buddhism and all too.
Excuse me, now only 3 minutes are 3 minutes are left now. So after 3 minutes, we'll be having a break, and then again we'll have it next session. Okay.
So I think Dr. Brigadier Ahuja is finding it difficult. I think he's still not come online. Although it is showing.
Any question?
Okay.
Bakshi, you can ask any question.
Another thing that I wanted to discuss is about medical tourism. So, although it has been very well covered in the article, and medical tourism can also do 2-3 things. One, it can actually offer medical facilities to those countries which are otherwise rich, but they don't have medical facilities like India. Two Indian medical facilities are otherwise nearly world class in many areas. And the third thing is that although those people, they come as patients to India, but since they have a few attendants accompanying them, and in many cases they come for say some surgery, and they then take rest for a few days, and the patient or their attendants, they can actually then come you see, like a normal tourist. So my question is, how can we further improve the medical tourism aspect of the Indian tourism arena, so that going forward, not only that our hospitals etc. are able to provide them with the best possible support, but it becomes
it will be disconnecting now in some time, and so don't mind. Just wait another. We'll again.
We'll discuss it after the break.
I'll raise my question after the break. Yeah.
I have understood your question, and we'll discuss it.
Okay. Okay. We'll rejoin after another in another 3-4 minutes. Right.
Okay.
Everybody's relieved. Huh? Should I tell?
To sum up our discussion, I will say a few lines. India has a vast potential for tourism, which, if fully exploited, can help in boosting the economy, generating millions of additional jobs, and earning lot of foreign exchange for the nation, besides building our goodwill internationally. It will also provide additional opportunities for domestic tourists as well, and further help in economic growth as well as national integration. Lack of appropriate and adequate infrastructure, lack of easy and comfortable accessibility to tourist destinations, lack of proper public transport, inadequate hygiene and sanitation facilities and conditions at tourist destinations, chaotic and unruly traffic, safety and security issues, increasing public unrest and resultant disruptions, etc., are a few major hindrances. For boosting tourism, deliberate and sustained actions need to be taken jointly by the government at the center and the state governments. A well thought out and well deliberated strategy needs to be evolved by involving concerned government agencies, private enterprises, and nominated representatives of citizens, particularly from the tourist destinations, for providing, strengthening, and modernizing required facilities and effective marketing of the tourism. A tourist authority incorporating all stakeholders is suggested to be formed for working out strategies and implementation of plans in a sustained manner. Improvement in law and order, traffic control, hygiene and sanitation, local governance, public transport facilities, etc., will not only boost tourism but will also improve quality of life of citizens at large. Due deliberation also need to be done for domestic tourism. This will boost domestic tourism, provide improved tourism facilities for domestic tourists, and help in boosting economy further and creating jobs as well as boost national integration. Thank you so much, gentlemen.